welcome. We're live, and in today's live stream, we're going to be having a little bit of fun with the AI models that I was trying to create yesterday, and we're gonna run it through like a cinematic process, if you will. So first, this is what I've got outlined for today, just for full transparency, so you know what we're working with. So we're gonna ask ChatGPT's O3 model there about the top 5 films based on notable aesthetics in the last 10 years. Then we're going to find references for those films on a site called Film Grab. That's really important. That's a really good site for like visual references. Then we're going to look up the technicals of that particular film. So things like the aspect ratio, the camera used, the lens type used as well. Then we're going to screenshot both the technicals as well as the visuals and put that into ChatGPT's O3 model again. And then we're going to run that with my frame framework and come up with a succinct prompt while trying to maintain visual consistency with the models that we've created using my frame framework and using the specific omni-weight feature or omni-reference feature in Midjourney version 7. Now, Midjourney version 7, just to give you a little bit of a primer in terms of how it differs from Midjourney version 6, it has improved a little bit in terms of its hands and feet, although you still get like mess ups time to time. So we're going to be trying to prompt in a way that is detailed, but then also succinct enough so that we can retain that detail in tact, of course, and ensure that we can maintain some kind of visual consistency there. So here's what I started with using the first thing. So it came up with this list, and I'm going to try and keep this live stream about 10 minutes from or so, maybe 15 minutes max. It's just because, you know, I feel it a little bit more on a live stream compared to if I'd be making a video. So this is a film called like Mad Max Fury Road. Of course, that's quite a popular film. I've not watched it myself, but I know it's known for very like orangey type of aesthetics. So I looked it up here. This is the particular site called Film Grab. So it's great for visual references again. So you can look it up like films A to Z, and then you just go and look for like Control F and then Mad Max. And you can see it's got all of the Mad Max films listed. So you can go to Mad Max Fury Road. And then down here, you have loads of different screenshots. So I just copied that, copy image, and then pasted it within here. Oh, by the way, these were my AI models that I'm working with. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Yeah, I pasted that into GPT, and then that was a screenshot there, but then also the screenshot of the technicals as well. And by the way, if my screen is a bit too small, just let me know. I can zoom in a little bit more. I think I'm zoomed into like 130% right now. It's just because I've got a massive screen ahead of me, you know, so I can't tell myself. But if for you guys, you know, it's not doing the job, just let me know. Right. So we've got the orange screenshot here, and then we've got the screenshot there of the technicals. Now we're going to try and add frame to the mix. Okay. Now frame is my proprietary framework for cinematography specifically, albeit it was initially intended for Midjourney version 6. But at the start, I of course explained the differences between prompting and how you should have a shorter prompt, but then also have it quite detailed as well. So it does a good job there. Thanks, Daryl. That's really appreciated. Appreciate it. I'll get to any like questions that you guys might have at the end of this particular live stream. I can completely answer that. It's completely fine with me. But yeah, appreciate the support and for tuning in, Daryl. Okay, so now we're gonna try and locate the framework here. So, okay, this is just absolute mess, my folders here. Okay, frame is here. And then using the framework, please help craft a simplified prompt that at the same time is detailed and doesn't exceed more than 25 words. Use the information that would be relevant but would still fit within the framework from shot on what website? Does the above make sense? Please ask additional clarifying questions so I know you've understood everything. By the way, doing this is a hack that I found when you're doing prompting with O3 or any other model. You basically get it to keep asking you questions again and again and again, like up to 5 or 10 questions every iteration. So before you instruct it, don't assume it understands something. And what you want to do as well is ensure that GPT takes on a particular background as well. So if you want a very detailed answer, that's really great. So like you can say something like, you have a 20 plus year experience in cinematography. You've worked on notable projects that are listed within the top 10 IMDb, for instance, in the last 20 years. Something like that before you then get into your main prompt. I've not done that because I'm not looking for a massively extensive answer. I'm just looking for like a brief reference in line with my prompting framework or frame there. So hopefully it comes back with good stuff there. Okay. So this can take some time, but yeah, this is the shot on what website. So you can see that the site is listed there, a little bit like about the film, of course, and then like cameras that we use. So camera A and then camera B. I don't know what that means in terms of camera B and camera A. I'm not sure exactly, but of course, Arri Alexa is a cinematic camera. It was used in the John Wick series as well of films. And then you've got different cameras there as well, like Blackmagic. So there's loads of different cameras, right? And that's why we like screenshotted the screenshot of here, like one of these screenshots, and then also the technicals, because there's loads of different cameras, etc. listed here, and I don't know which exact camera would have replicated that particular type of aesthetic. So that's why we're getting O3 to do the heavy lifting for us, so we don't have to guess, and we can see what it comes back with. Okay, so it's come back with like, I believe I understand your objective. You require a Midjourney V6 prompt, not Midjourney V6 specifically. Please try to keep the prompt to no more than 25 words max. Is that understood? Yeah, and then, okay, so it's asking me additional questions. So, should the image foreground Imperator Furiosa Charlie's Theron in a close-up, or would you prefer a wider framing that shows the Warwick cockpit? Extras, do you wish to embed on-screen text, Mad Max Fury Road, or leave topography out entirely? Midjourney flags, may I append aspect ratio and style raw tags, or should those be omitted to conserve word count? So now it's asking me really detailed, hyper-specific questions that it wouldn't have otherwise ask me to if I just went with what I believe from an assumptive standpoint it is understood, right? Because I'm assuming that it's not understood completely everything. That's why it's able to like come back to me with these really highly detailed qualifying questions. Okay, so to answer his questions then, from a focus and shot perspective. Focus and shot, by the way, is just like what the subject is, like who are they, like a man or a woman, etc. What are they doing? Okay, that's what the focus and shot is. So the Charlize Theron from here, I think she was featured either there, and then there, but I can't remember which one. Yeah, I think it was that one that I used as the reference image. This particular screenshot here, you can see. That's Charlize Theron, and that's what we're using. So it's asking us about that. Okay. So should the image foreground feature Charlize Theron in a close-up, or would you prefer a wider framing that shows the war record? So this is this is a wide shot, ultra wide shot, where you show multiple different aspects in the frame. We're just sticking with like a close-up shot, so it'll just be one subject in question. So yes, just please feature Charlize Theron only. Shot one character only. No need to explicitly state Charlize Theron, as that will be replaced by one of my own characters. Okay. Then extras, do you wish to embed? No text is needed. And then lastly, Midjourney flags, may I append aspect ratio? No aspect ratio is needed, as I'll manually add that in. Okay. So I believe it's understood everything, so I don't need to keep asking it questions, but that's how I usually do it. On most film sets, they will have two crews operating. Camera A is the main camera of the DOP, and the director will be mainly with this DOP, as these are all the main shots. But there is another crew working on pickups, etc. Okay, thanks for specifying that. Yeah. So it's written it in a way that's not naturalistic, and usually the way that Midjourney version 7 and Midjourney version 6 as well works best is if it's naturally written, right, in English rather than just like loads of comments. That used to work well for version 5.1, I remember, and 5.2 of Midjourney, but now since version 6 and 7, it works better when you just write natural sentences. Please write this prompt in natural, long flowing sentences. Okay, so you'll come back with its own version of that in a second. In the meantime, we can look up our next film that we had. So Blade Runner 2049, I've covered that previously on the channel as well. So we can look up Blade Runner. And there it is, Blade Runner. So let's go with something. The thing is with Midjourney version 7, why I don't like it a lot of the times is because either you get like plasticky looking results with the face texture, or the limbs are completely messed up. So that really limits what you can do in terms of like a cinematography standpoint. Like if you want to show the whole subject and you want to show them with their limbs intact, it doesn't really do a good job of that. So you're really kind of confined to what you can show, which is just basically medium shots from the waist up. And you'll notice this as well with people using Midjourney. A lot of the times they have shots with their hands in their pockets because they can't actually show you the hands because they're messed up a lot of the time. So anyways, that's just a little diversion there. Tour. I think I like that one. I know it's got that same kind of orange aesthetic, which doesn't load unfortunately when I go into it. But yeah, that's an epic shot. That one. Where is it? This one, yeah. So yeah, let's see what it's come back with. So we're gonna have to change this a little bit because it didn't quite get it, but it's okay. It's got like 80% of the way there. Okay. So this was the model that I had referenced earlier and that I created. So this was using my M.U.S.E framework. So morphology, which is all the structural components of the face. So we can see she's got like arched eyebrows. She's got slightly upturned eyes. They're like closed set. Okay, so they're slightly closed, steely look. She's got like a nose with good proportions of her nostrils there, medium full lips, kind of a heart-shaped face there, so you can imagine a heart there. So this was all like intentionally sculpted, right? And not just prompted in terms of trying to create someone pretty, but sculpted with intent. So that's what we mean by that. And usually what I find is if you want to have something like a cinematic shot, I try to keep it a 1-to-1 aspect ratio, or 1-to-1 ratio rather, not aspect ratio, 1-to-1 ratio between the omni strength and then also the stylized value as well. So now we're going to try and, of course, do this prompt or adjust it a little bit so it's a bit more naturally reading. So a desert cockpit close-up of a warrior, shot on a Arri Alexa. You don't need to specify 4K. Arri Alexa M with a Panavision Primo lens. There is harsh tungsten light, saturating orange with saturated orange, and with saturated orange and teal color palette. the image has a mood of... What happened there? The image has a mood of intense survival. Okay. Now in these settings here, you just leave that blank because we can write it here itself, like SS80. And then I like to do R4 as well for maximum, what do you say, like renditions. So it does like 4 renditions here. I usually keep it at 4 because if you do a little bit more than that, then you really eat through your hours quickly, your fast hours. So hopefully that should give us something to work with at least. That was a 2:3. I forgot to change the aspect ratio there. Since I'm doing cinematography, it should be 2:1 or 16:9 aspect ratio. So you can do two ways. You can either just like try to prompt it first, and then if you don't get the result, then you can use the stylized reference as well. I tried to use that earlier for particular styles. I'll show you. Though it wasn't necessarily cinematic based. It was more fashion based, I could say. Yeah, so like this was, of course, which these are more like fashion shots. But then if I go down, you'll see. Yeah, so I started to use it for like the Dior bar jacket there, style reference. And that was always like either maintaining between 50 to 100 stylized value, or like 80 as well, like 80 for both. And I was starting to get stuff like that. That even has like Dior on it, right? So that's what I mean by stylized and how I try to use that. But anyways, let's get back to the film stuff. Okay, so it's looking pretty epic. I forgot to, of course, include my character when I adjusted the aspect ratio. So it's not done the job properly, but let's see. Oh, okay. So it's slightly altered the color palette, of course, because it's got that tungsten light. It's got the teal in there, which is quite heavily emphasized. So it has altered it from the original. So you know what I'm gonna do? Actually, just gonna copy the original. We had that open before. Okay. So here it was. Let's copy that. Don't think we can drag it in. That would be easier. We could. Yeah, okay. There we are. Right. So style references is there. Which is great, that's what it should be. And that's 80 there. Okay. 4S80. Keep that 80 as well. Right. It should work now. So, of course, these had a very good, I guess, base with our model image, but they were in the wrong aspect ratio. This is very, detailed, of course. It's pretty good. There's, veins in our eyes and stuff. But it's the wrong aspect ratio. You can let me know in the comments how in likeness to her does it look, in your opinion. I think it looks pretty good. And this particular model would suit this particular shot because she's got those steely eyes. So she's got already that epic look. even without any words being spoken. So when she's in this particular scene, it matches the vibe, it matches the aesthetic. So yeah. Okay, that's a little bit better. I feel like it's really leaning heavily a bit too much into the teal. Like the teal is just overshadowing everything. It was before anyway. Now it's starting to do a bit better because I'm using the reference image. So that's really looking like, of course, like our model, but then also like the reference image that we had here of Charlize Theron. It's annoying when I click on it, it doesn't load. That's really annoying. It doesn't show up in big, so that's unfortunately a shame. But anyways, it really does look like Mad Max, right? Fury Road. So that's, I think we can say that's the first one accomplished. I'm gonna probably do one or two more and then we'll call it quits. But yeah, looks good. Obviously it's not high res, so I'd usually try and upscale it on like Topaz, Gigapixel, etc. But yeah, it's pretty good. All right, let's try to do our next one, which is the Blade Runner 2047 or 2049 rather. Yeah, this Harrison Ford one looks pretty good. Where else is it? I like that one, the laying down in the snow. It's got a different vibe to it. Let's do that. Copy image back into here. And then Blade Runner 2049. Here. Okay, these have got so many lenses and so many cameras. It's quite mental, actually. Right. Okay, now I'm just basically asking it to do the same for this particular film, Blade Runner 2049. Before, to recap, we had done Mad Max Fury Road, and this really looks like it. I can do another few iterations so we can see that in action. This was our base image. Okay, I've not given her a name yet, but she's a new model to be added to my roster. And then this was our image for reference. Okay, that's a Charlize Theron in a vehicle, of course, sand like dune behind. It's a really nice image. So it's not quite, it's emulated more of the visual components in terms of the color. Like we can see her forehead is actually like as it should be, like a little bit dark as per the reference image there, and orange beneath as well. So it's done really good in terms of the style reference. What it hasn't adhered to that much is the background. Okay, so the background like sand dune or sand plane, if you will. But yeah, I think for the most part I'm quite happy with that, to be honest with you. Let me know what you think. Is that kind of a good rendition in your opinion? Okay. Okay, so it's doing its own thing, and quite frankly, it would be quicker to just change the prompt once you paste it into here. So now we're going to go into here, and then do the same thing with this one here. Okay, let's drag that into style references. Okay, I need to copy that again. Okay, a forlorn figure sprawled. Okay, a forlorn figure, a forlorn shot of a woman sprawled across snow-dusted steps. shot with an Arri Alexa Mini with a Zeiss Master Prime lens. The color palette consists of muted cyan and grey. There are drifting flakes of snow which evoke a neo-noir melancholic feeling. Okay, so that's how I adjusted it there. Again, S80, 4 renditions, S80, and yeah, that should do the job now. I need to go a bit more in depth because she's obviously laying down and we want her face to be up looking into the sky, so we need to specify that. Flat, she's laying flat on her back looking up into the sky, and let's reference it again and hopefully it works this time. Now, the thing is with the Omni reference, from what I found, is the more detail that you add into your prompt, the harder it is for it to adhere to. So what you want to do is actually subtly move it down the S values, the stylized values, as well as the Omni reference value. I typically try to keep it 1:1 aspect ratio, so no more than like 80 or 85, especially if my prompt is very detailed. That's why I try to keep it around 20 to 25 words, because that way you've got a little bit more flexibility over moving it in either direction, whether you want to go on the north side of 80 or on the south side of like 70. But yeah, that's what I usually do. And 80, for the most part, is being the most consistent and yielding the results that I want. So that's why I stick with 80 usually. But yeah, let's see what comes back here. So that looks pretty good. Say it does, but it doesn't. It's not like a reference in that, so that's why I changed it, of course. See now what it does. Okay, she's more like sleeping rather than like in pain, or frustrated, you know, or dejected, because the mood here is like hopeless, right? Consigned. It's like resigned look. So resigned look, yeah. So we need to have that feeling in our image as well. All right, this is a bit better. This is a bit better now. Starting to understand. So when you specify a mood, it really changes things quite a lot, of course, as you can imagine. Yeah, okay, that's a little bit better. It's not going to be obviously exactly the same, but it's close enough. Alright, let's do like Barbie, because I know that's got a completely different aesthetic. It's got like the pink aesthetic, right? So do that. That would be a good image, but she's showing her hands, so I don't trust Midjourney to do a good job with that. That's good. let's go with that one as our next reference image. Okay, perfect. That's good. Now do the same for this film. Okay, so just to recap what I've been through so far. I started with Mad Max Fury Road. I put in my frame prompting guide, and then I was basically trying to get it to reference my frame prompting guide using the technical details from Shot on What, which is really good site for listing out technical specifics of what was used in terms of like the camera, the sound system, etc., the aspect ratio, and then fusing that into my prompt as well to come up with something that is in likeness to the particular reference images. So this was the last one, for instance, with Blade Runner 2049. That's not Daniel Craig. I've forgotten his name. Damn. Yeah. Ryan Gosling. There you go. Ryan Gosling like laying there like that, looking up. So that was quite, of course, good in terms of the reference. But this one, I think the Mad Max one, it did the best job with. That really looks like Mad Max, right? With our model there that we used. Not giving her a name yet, but that's basically been my process so far. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, why is it doing an image? Sometimes it gets it messed up. Provide a prompt like you did before this. Yeah, but that's it. I think sometimes if you go into a bit too much detail in O3, it can lose its train of thought compared to what it was doing before. So there is that. You can try a different model this time. So let's try, like I was trying to craft many models yesterday. And although some of these faces were good, they weren't sculpted as I'd want them to be. So I had to just keep going, you know. And then eventually I landed on that model that you just saw us using very recently. But yeah. I want to go with this model because there's good asymmetry in her eyes. It looks very human. There's good slight freckles as well. I did specify asymmetry in my prompt as well. It did that really well. Good kind of threaded arched eyebrows as well. Good lips that she's got, medium full. Yeah, it's just really, really perfect for a portrait reference image. So let's put that into the Omni reference, keeping it at 80. This model will be used for our next particular shot. Okay. See now. Okay, a top-down view of a doll-like heroine on vibrant turf shot on a 4K Arri Alexa 65 with a Panavision System 65 lens. The image is bathed in playful pastel pink, exuding optimism, versus a pastel-clad dreamer sprawled on pristine synthetic grass, 4K Arri Alexa, shot on a 4K optics. Okay, I want to go with this one because I can see it being changed and still adhering to what I'm trying to go for. So, okay. Okay, a cinematic shot of a featuring, okay, of a top-down view featuring a woman on vibrant turf, woman laying down on vibrant turf, taken with an Arri Alexa 65 with a Panavision System 65 lens. The image is bathed in playful pastel pink optimism, with the woman subtly smiling at the camera. Top-down view featuring a woman laying on vibrant turf, taken with an Arri Alexa 65 with a Panavision System 65 lens. Okay, so we try to keep the prompt kind of short here, and by doing that and keeping it dense in terms of the details, you ensure that you can have the highest chance of generating what you actually wish to generate. In this case, we are trying to reference some of these aesthetics here. Okay, so a little bit of pink, but of course she's lying down on a turf there. Okay, so like a green turf. So yeah, we're trying to combine them basically. So a little bit of pink, a little bit of green, but then trying to still capture that aesthetic. So let's see what it comes back with. Let's see. First, we need to reference that, of course. S80. That's 80 as well. Good. And R4. Thanks, Daryl. The shots are nice. It puts you in the ballpark, but gives you room to evolve rather than duplicate. Oh, that even added text subtly as well in the bottom. She looks dead in that picture rather than alive. So yeah, I don't know about that one, but all right, this is a bit better. Albeit a bit exaggerated, but anyway. All right, that's a bit better, I think. If we are to reference that or compare that to here, she's got more of an exasperated expression here, so we can maybe add that in. Cinematic shot of the top two featuring a woman looking exasperated who is laying down on vibrant turf. S80. It's pretty good there. Okay, see what comes back. I'll notice as well that, of course, your reference image, whatever you reference like this, for the best results, would have to be a 16:9 aspect ratio or 2:1 aspect ratio. And then you'd use that. So we could actually try that in the editor, I guess. If I can find it down here. Or you could even go to the editor itself and then put it in. And then you just do 16:9. But sometimes it would distort the sides and you don't really want that. But yeah, these are all shots that I tried yesterday with another model. More lifestyle shots. These are like high-end editorial lifestyle shots. So sometimes it did a good job with the hands. Most of the time it screwed up, of course. That's classic Midjourney for you. But yeah, I think for the most part I was kind of happy with the results there. Yeah, there she is. So yeah, that is basically good to edit. So this is going to be another method that we employ because we want her to be a 16:9 aspect ratio if the image in question that we're using from a style reference viewpoint is of course 16:9 as well. That ensures that there's cohesion there and it knows what to do. So let's see. I've not changed the prompt here, so we're just going for that. What happened? What's going on? Oh, I think it gets generated, don't it? Up. Yeah, it's getting generated. All right, cool. So that is now the reference of our consistent character. Okay. And if we changed her expression to be a bit more exasperated, then I wonder... I'm actually going to do that. Although I like these. It is the different character, of course. I just realized that now. I didn't reference her, did I? Yeah, I referenced a different character. But they all kind of look similar in terms of the aesthetic that I want. Okay. Let's go to edit. Okay. $69. Okay, front angle. The woman has a slightly exasperated expression. So we're trying to lock in the reference image of our character really well in terms of being similar in likeness to our style reference image before we then create it. So I'm hoping that this approach is a bit more, of course, thorough, and so it should yield a better result compared to what we had before. But, okay, because these, like, she's kind of too happy. And there's too much going on in the image. That's the closest, of course, to that Barbie type of look. But the proportions are off, you know? The proportions are off, and that's really annoying me. So. Okay. Has it come back yet? Nope. If this doesn't yield the result, then whatever. So be it, but at least I would have tried a different approach. Okay. I like that one the most. Let's upscale that to gallery. So to give you a lowdown of what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to emulate this image here where she's got a slightly exasperated expression and she's lying on that turf. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do with our model. But I'm trying to ensure that I've got a 16:9 aspect ratio reference image, because that is obviously a 16:9 or 21:9 aspect ratio if it's a film. So that should ensure a bit more visual cohesion with what we have in mind. Okay. Okay, that's not the prompt we're going for. Is this one here? Okay, nice. That should be style 80. Yeah, there you go. And then where was it gone here? Right, so it's coming back and hopefully it should work. I'm kind of happy with these results. I guess you just like remove stuff like nothing surrounding her on the turf, but it's pretty good. Let's do that. There is nothing surrounding her on the turf. And then hopefully it'll get it. Do the proportions look a bit better now? I'd say they do slightly. They do slightly. The eyes are of course different colored. You'd have to change that in post. But yeah, kind of happy with this. Not 100%, but kind of happy with it. Yeah. This will be the last go that we have at this, and I'm going to call it quits. Okay, so I would often include the tokens wearing a silver ring or hand model hands. Yeah. Okay, that's helpful. Forces Midjourney to reference datasets of detailed hands. This usually solves the hand problem. Okay, thanks. I'll try that as well before we call it quits. And because we're going a little bit higher, sorry, we're going a little bit more detailed in the prompt, I'm going to lift the omni weight value slightly to 85 from 80. So let's see what happens. I'll keep the S80 as well. So I know there's a little bit of difference, but let's see what happens. Anyways, there's nothing random on this turf. She has hand model hands. Let's see if that solves it. Hand model hands. Okay, that's looking a bit better. It's looking a bit better. I noticed that there's the grain there as well, a bit more now. So it's starting to look a lot better actually. Yeah, I think I'm kind of happy with that. That was the reference here. So I think it's done a pretty good job. Yeah. So now we've done the hand model hands, so that is a bit better, I have to say. Thanks for that, Daryl. That helped. I usually use Mystic 2.5 as my go-to image model, just because the hands and the feet, they always hold up. They've even got like vasculature in the hands as well, so it makes it really believable. Yeah, but that's good. I'm happy with that. But now, like, the hands are kind of unnaturally in the shot. But yeah, it's a marked improvement compared to before with the hands of what was shown. So yeah, I think that one is the best out of all of them. that really captures the vibe compared to that. Yeah, that's really, really good. And yeah, we're going to leave it at that. So we basically covered 3 films. So I did Blade Runner 2049, I did Mad Max, and then I did Barbie from this particular list here. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, Daryl. I appreciate it. I know staying up in New Zealand is no easy feat, so I really appreciate that. And for those of you that have watched as well, I also appreciate you guys for tuning in as well. I'll be seeing you guys soon. I'm working on M.U.S.E, which is my proprietary framework for helping you craft AI models, influencers, or avatars, characters, whatever you want to call them, and that emotionally resonate, right? And they're fit for specific commercial purposes. So an example is if you see a woman and she has like a round shaped face, she would give more of a friendly vibe, okay? More of a friendly, approachable, inviting vibe. And what that typically means is that the products and the brands that she'll be working with would be more like friendly, like in nature. So think of it in terms of like she'll be working with family-based brands. Yeah, if she's got like a rounded face, versus someone like Elena, who I showed in one of my previous videos, is got more of a sculpted face, more of a defined face. So like these models here that I've got like here, she's more premium-esque, right? So you'd associate her with brands like Dior, right? Especially her, because she's got that steady-eyed look, right? So she commands presence without words even being spoken. So there is specific facial types, or what I like to refer to as morphology, specific arrangements of features on the face that elicit certain emotions and are affiliated with certain brands. And that's what I'll be covering. The next part of my framework is S, which is style, and that's how they show up in the world. And usually that is influenced in part by their morphology, so their structural features, but then also by their essence, so their life story, how they're living their life right now, their background growing up, where they've come from, etc. All of these influence their style and how they show up in the world. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful and this live stream helpful. You can of course revisit it afterwards, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thanks, Daryl, again for tuning in. Appreciate it. And to anyone else that's stayed the course as well throughout me so far. And thanks again. Bye.